Hi everybody, this is Kimberly at Journal Breeze. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome if you are new, and welcome back if you've been here before. I want to show you what I've done in this folio since the last time that we worked on it together, which is the last video. And I am excited about the turn that it's taking. And then I also have a little bit of time to craft another page or two. So I'm going to set my alarm so that I don't run over too much. Let's see. Okay. All right, there we go. So I set it for half an hour, and I am limited today to about that exact amount. So that's how long we'll take. But I wanted to share with you where we are right now. And if you want to know how to make the folio itself, then look at my previous video, and there's a link there to Ruby and Pearl XO, which is Heather. She made the folio last year in November. It's a 6-part series, and so I followed her directions, and I'm now changing it and making it into my own, but the base that I started with was exactly what Heather had pointed out. So I have put the back piece on, and I made it into a pocket, and I have a tag in mind that will bring out the greens that I want to put in the back. And then the front, I don't think I had this figured out the last time we were together. I showed a picture on Instagram. But this piece here, this, and this are all fabric. It's an antique piece of fabric. It could be as early as the 1800s, early on, but due to the size, I'm guessing it's more around 1920. And I had these flapping, and I could have shown you, but I can't now because I ended up gluing them down. But the type of dye and the block they used to make these, it goes through onto the back, and so the back isn't white or black or blue. It's a repeat of the print, and it shows how they printed each piece. This was printed separately from the white. Well, the white was actually left. It was white cotton to begin with, and then they printed the pink. I don't know what order they went in, but what I'm trying to say is the pink, all the pink areas were printed at one time separately. This blue area was printed at the same time. The corresponding blue was printed. Then another blue was put on top that made it darker. The browns were printed at the same time. That's how they block print. There's many, many, many blocks that are printed on one print. It's not just one block. It's not like a stamp. And so each block is carved with just a little portion of the print. It's all they had in the 1700s, and the roller printer came around in the early 1800s, and that made the prints become much smaller and regular looking at the beginning anyway. And so these are large, and in 1920 and again in 1940, large scales, what they're called large scale prints, came back in, and doing a hand block might have been mechanized, but it still would have been each piece being printed separately, each color being printed separately. And they would have had to have been carved, whether it was metal or wood. And so I love it for that. Oh wait, there's a piece of it here. Oh good. Yeah, this is what I cut it from. Somehow this was on here. So you can see that, and then you can see on the back what I'm talking about. Oh, I'm so glad I thought of this. So it's not as pretty as the front. That would always be the case. But you can see this dark green was printed here, and yet you don't really see it on the front as dark green. You see it as a gray or a blue. And then there's black showing on here, and you don't really see it here. So probably where these two came together, it made it more of a black. So based on the back of the fabric, I dated it as antique fabric. Plus it feels very smooth, and hope you're not seeing this thing that's popping up on my screen. It's almost, I'm sure it had a chintz glaze on it. Chintz is a glaze. We call a certain pattern of flowers from early generations ago hundreds of years ago. We call them chintz because of the flower that was on them. And the multiple colors, 3-color chintz, 5-color chintz. But as time went on, if something was glazed, it was considered a chintz. And it's not really a glaze so much as it's a hot press calendering. For short, it's called calendering. And it would leave a very shiny surface that helped with durability and just made it cost more, and therefore the elite had a lot of chintz on the walls, on the beds, on the furnishings. You know, they had furnishings in their bedrooms. A lot of times they had a lot of activities that went on in where their beds were. So yeah. So that's, I was so excited. I cut that up, and I you know, these were made around the same time. Toile's a very early print. This would be considered a small scale chintz, and that as well, only a little later, because that sorts of pinks were later. So anyway, I just love this kind of thing, and it made me really happy, and I loved it. So that's what I did, and then I added to the side, I added a little trim of tiny, tiny pom-poms, which I think are so cute. And originally I set the pom-poms right underneath, so just the pom-pom heads were sticking out, which was really, really cute. But you know what? On this really long 9.5-inch piece, they didn't show up. They just barely showed. And for that reason, I put the diamond shape also out, which didn't leave much more to glue underneath, but it did work out okay. And then I put gold paint around the edge. I used this wonderful Craft Smart paint pen in gold color. You can get them at Michael's, way cheaper than you can on Amazon. I'm beginning to realize I can get a lot of things other places that are cheaper than on Amazon. Amazon is also not offering smaller amounts. Like, I just wanted gold, and I got a 2-pack for $4 at Michael's just the other day, and Amazon only had 14 colors, and it was $15, $16. So there you go, check around. So I put the paint all along the edge here and all along here, and then I added this label and stamped this number on. And I picked this label because it went with this. It's very similar, a light blue, very delicate, filigree kind of a label. The lock is on the focus, so hopefully you can see that. And then this is also a light blue filigree. So I just love that, and I also like that this print was showing because it's from the same era. And then I typed Levée number whatever it is. This means record or ledger. So this has become a ledger, which I just love that. Ledger of fabrics. But I have to say, other than using textiles on the pages, I haven't emphasized by using a die cut. This is a textile I cut out of a striped fabric. This is a wax seal that I put on the bottom, and then I backed it with craft paper. And I added a little piece of the polka dot tissue paper to correspond with this. I like corresponding. I like using bits and pieces of the same papers when you have something as large as a folio with as many sides and parts. You know, it may not work on a journal spread, but throughout the journal, adding in the same pieces. I'm going to do that more often because I really love it, and it's kind of a key component to good design. So I did that here in a couple places, as I recall. And then I added a piece of gold specked handmade paper from Heather at Rose Hill Cottage. I bought a whole pack from her, and I just use it so sparingly because I love it. I want to make it last. So I thought that was beautiful. So it tied in the gold in 3 places. And then this little label is also from the Paper Cameo, as is that. It's shrunken down into a smaller piece. But I just felt that it just separated it out a little bit. And then this is the gray paper that I glued on. Now, you saw me lay this out, and I think you saw me lay this out, and I told you I would add that. So this came after that was done, and I realized I wanted to bring the red in as a third a third time, because red and kind of neutrals are turning out to be the colors of this folio, which has a holiday feeling to it. I have a couple references to Christmas, and probably will get more as I add more ephemera. But it's, the balancing of the colors is fun, and I love doing it, and that's what I'm doing in here. But what emerged that I hadn't really thought about, but now is guiding me in my future decisions, is this filigree that was on the top, that was printed on the top of this picture. So I didn't add that. It's part of it. It's part of what made me love this piece. I think that's an adorable illustration. But I love this filigree top. This is my thing. This is my era. This is what I love. And this is filigree. The wallpaper and this are very similar. These swags are also my thing. You can kind of see it here better. Late 1700s, probably mid 1700s even, but I'm more of a Revolutionary War fabric person. Up until right around 1800, when Napoleon's look took over, and I do like the Napoleon look, but it doesn't have any extra filigree whatsoever. It's very straight lines. They're reeded, and so I love that. If I see an example, I'll show you. But no curves. He liked everything absolutely straight. And then there was his circle with the wreath around it, which I love, and I am bringing that in. That's what I hope to work on with you today. And then this is a pocket. So I decided to make my outer page come out a little bit further so it'd be really evident that there was a pocket there. And what do I have in here right now? Oh, okay. For a placeholder, I have this beautiful postcard from the Paper Cameo. Just love it. Again, the swag. These would be on wallpaper. So this is very French, very Réveillon, and definitely the mid to late 1700s. He was supposedly killed in the French Revolution, which started in 1790. So that was kind of the end of the big swag thing being made. Although Jacques and a man's name that began with a B, Beaumont, something like that, bought all of Réveillon's wallpaper patterns and dyes and equipment, and they proceeded to produce wallpaper, but it never looked as fancy as his. It never looked as beautiful. I'm sure it didn't pull as much money in. Réveillon was very, 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 very famous for his wallpapers. Just amazing. So we then move to the inside and bring it down to where you can see it. So these aren't connected yet, so let me just straighten that up. So here we have the inside, which j'adore. I'm really, really inspired by this, the three together, and even the coloring in here. I have no desire to cover it up. And what I see predominating is warmth and yellow. So seeing the warmth, it made me want to bring more warmth into the rest of it. Now, when we left last, you knew I was going to use this. You didn't know about this yet. And you knew about this. But when we left, I don't think I had decided on this. Or if I had, it was cool colors of gray. And I'll go through this in a minute because I changed it up a bit. I think I was going to put this on here. And ultimately, I did glue it onto the one that is the placeholder so that the whole thing is stiffer. So I put, just for your knowledge, I put a placeholder behind this before I glued it down. And then I glued down the 9.5 by 4.5 cardboard on this side too. So this now is a very sturdy folio, which feels good to me. And I love how this plays on each other. So if I took all of these out, because a lot of them are going to be for writing, I love the way it looks. Just love it. And it's all warm. This is even a warm gray. This is even a pink gray. And that's on the warm scale, right? Because it's part of red. If it were a blue gray or a white gray, then it would be on the cooler side. And this white is warmer. This is probably the coolest thing here because it is a pretty grayish, icy white, I would say. But the red predominates. This is very yellow. This is very yellow. And so at one point, I think when I left you last, I was playing with black and whites and grays. And I did come up with this. But to me, this just had no appeal at all. I love it and I'm using it. It's my page 2 or 3. Absolutely love it. But as a top piece, oh my gosh, absolutely doesn't fit in. This is a very green gray. If you can just see that, it would be helpful. This green, see how green that is? Compared to this pink, do you see the difference there? That is painful to look at for me. I just find it to be, neither one can shine when there's that kind of a clash. They just don't go together. Pink and green go together cute, but not when they're gray pink and gray green. And then this is very, vintage looking, but it's not as warm as the red is. So I will show you this because it's super cute, but I'm going to possibly put something on the back, but this is going to be page 2. So this is a great big pocket, and I can put deep things in there. This is an example of cutting up something else to put a header like this onto another piece. I love having fancy things on the tops of pictures or frames or mirrors. Just love it. So this is a touch that means the world to me. You all have your thing that you love, and when you see it, it lights you up. That's what these kinds of filigree things do for me. And then this is a belly band, and I love this background piece. So I put this like this, so I'd be reminded that I have a pocket here that I can fill with something I've yet to make. And this can be moved up quite a bit higher if I decide to do that. It can also be cut down if I don't want to have it be that high. So this is just where it is at the moment. And then this top one, I'm going to put this in here again so you can see the difference. Just see how it sings and how every piece just calls out. It doesn't feel, dysregulated is the word that comes to mind, but that's a professional word, so I use it a lot. But there's just a level missing. I'm going to take this out of here right now and just show you that this green gray and this yellow white just clash. Whereas when I put this back here, all of a sudden everything goes together really well. Really well. At least in my opinion. Everybody's got their own. I'm not trying to tell you that I'm right. I'm telling you that's what my eye sees. So originally, last time, you might have noticed I had this to be on the outside. But I ended up putting it on the inside because it fit really great in there. And when I decided I was going to put this wonderful piece back here, I then wanted it to be represented on the top because I really love this piece. And so I just switched them around. And I think that turned out really nice. This was cut from this piece of paper, I think. Same kit. Might have been different pieces of paper. Not sure. Can't remember. And then this is a pocket. And right now is a temporary tag in there. I lined the inside, as I had mentioned, with a piece of this that was left over, so that I set it up so that this color, which is on the underneath piece, corresponded to this. Now this to me does not feel the least bit perfectionistic. Some of you are probably thinking, here you are wanting to teach us about not being perfectionistic. No, this is just simple design, and I have a lot of experience in that, and I don't find it to be labor intensive at all. It's a guiding principle for me. It's like people who don't want it to look like design, that just want to make marks. You just do it, right? it's the same way for me. It's automatic for me to think about how I can balance it out. I like symmetry over asymmetry most of the time. Sometimes I really want to play up the asymmetry. But for the most part, symmetry is cool. Ending in this black stripe had a very different look than ending in this same colored stripe. It allowed this black to jump out and correspond with the shadow, which helps to give it dimension. So this was really done more to help the black correspond instead of being an end note for the eye. And I don't really want you to end. I really want you to go over here to this wonderful yellow white. And so anyway, I'm going to make a tag that's going to go in here. Love this tag, might leave it, but I want to make my ephemera because I'm probably going to have more ephemera in the pockets than I am going to be paper clipping it to the pieces because I'm loving the pieces. And then I put this piece of lace on here, and originally I had this hanging out, and you know what? Hanging out, it looks silly with this. It just looked like it was just hanging out, skinny, hanging out. It didn't look good. So I glued it here, and it really helped bring the eye up to this area. I might put something there. But in the meantime, I'm really happy I did that, and I love the piece of lace, and I'm happy to be able to use it. I did put a beige piece of fabric under it, beige brown, in order to make the circles really stand out. I didn't want the yellow to be what stood out, so I put something behind it, because this is see-through. All right, so what I took out of this pocket was this darling print. I put a piece of fabric across the top, another stripe of it here, and this is all from the same fabric as that, which is a new fabric that I bought years ago at a fabric store, so you can't get it, but it's not old. And I just loved how this red stood out here. Love this three-way layer very much. Love this width and this width very much. And then this yellow is so perfectly aligned with that, although two entirely different makers, two completely different kits. I just thought, wow, the more I can get of this yellow, which I adore, the better. And so I'm using this little paper clip down here to connect this to it, because otherwise it goes in further. But that's not so much the issue as it could fall out, and I don't want it to. So generally when I have a paper clip somewhere, I'll stick something else in it. So as I go forward, I might put something else in this paper clip. All right, so let's look at this one. So this one I have yet to back. I may not back. I like how this is showing the center of the file folder, and I love how the aging made it look pretty good. So I put a pocket and a belly band over a toile, and the toile is crooked. Every person that uses this toile, it's always crooked. I don't know why nobody straightens it out. It drives me crazy. So it still looks crooked, but I don't mind covering it up because it's a little less obvious if it's covered up. And then I papered a scrap to this side because there was something under here that was from the kit that I didn't think went well. It was a modern-looking drawing of holly, and it didn't go with something that's from 1800s, early, 1800, 1795, whatever it was. And then I put this with all good wishes for the new year. That's from Chapter 1 Paper's Christmas kit that came out this year. The only one they're going to have. It's all ephemera, and I'm planning my video to show you some ideas I have for the ephemera. And then this is some netting that I put around there just to kind of, I don't know, give it a little more texture, which it does close up. I don't know if you can appreciate it in the video or not. And then this is cut from the center of a page, and this is cut from another part. So I overlap them underneath this belly band, and then this belly band is from a completely different kit. So these are all different kits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, yeah, 7 and 8. So 8 different kits are in this one page. And that, I don't think in terms of kits. I do it because you guys want that information, but that's not how I think. I think in terms of color, style, year it's reflecting in history. style it's reflecting. I find joy in that. That is not suggesting that anybody else should do that, but I just have such a love for that. I can't help it, and I love replicating it in paper, and it's not perfect. Believe me, it's just satisfying, and so that's why I do it. So we have this one on top, this one underneath. Then I made this one. I think I shared this, I'm not sure, but this is going to be for writing and a little pocket. So I opened it up, I made 2 pieces of paper. I glued one on here because, what do you do on that lace really in a skinny spot? So it's for writing. And then I stamped on some fabric. I added another Chapter 1 Papers piece of ephemera from their kit. This color green goes perfectly with this photo. You'd think they were from the same kit, but they're not. Completely different. Love this photo. It's one of my favorite photos ever. She looks so taken, and he's either saying something or about to kiss her neck, and it's just her hands up like, loving every minute. It's just a really sexy photo, and I love it. And then this I tore out because it says December 31st. And I tried to cover up here, but I think what's going to happen is I'm going to get a taller tag to put in here. But even if the writing stays, it's not really objectionable. So I might add more paper to put in here, but in the meantime, I can journal, I can do what I want with these. And then it just folds in like that. I don't think I'm going to tie it together because what I'm going to do, this is another writing one. This is an old toile paper that I probably got when they first started selling paper you could use on computers. So 2000? So that's almost 24 years ago that I got this toile, and I just cut out a scene that I can see. And it was always this light. It hasn't faded. It was intended to be computer printing on. And so I can write on that, write on this. I'm going to put this here, these here, and then I've got another 4. And part of the reason for that is because when mine folds, I'm not going to have a bunch of ephemera that Heather had, and so I actually need to puff it up more. And I have a lot of room, and I love making these tall things individually. They're really, really fun and very creative. So I'm going to do a whole bunch. A few more spaces for writing are going to be included. And then I'm going to put a hole on either side, string whatever I decide on through it that goes around the back, and then I'm going to tie on the top. So there'll be some sort of a tie here holding them down. So all that's glued down is the one that really matters, and then the rest are always going to be free. And I love that idea. I'm super excited about it. And if you choose to do that, I hope you'll tag me and let me see how yours turned out. I will do it at the very end because I won't know how long to make it, and I won't know exactly what I want to use until then. So that's where we're at so far. So what's our time like? Let's see. Oh my gosh, we have 2 minutes. Wow, that was fast. Okay, let me show you what I'm thinking instead of doing it. I love this paper. Looks like that. And this is from an older kit from a completely unrelated kit by Paper Cameo. This is Raindrop Lila. And I love this laurel wreath. It was a very popular design. Well, it's not exactly a laurel wreath because those aren't laurel leaves, but it's taken from that feeling. So I love that concept. And so I thought I could add something into the center to cover up the word eggs. This came out around Easter, which is why it says eggs. So I thought about that, and then I came across, and then I was going to put this on the bottom because it has to be this long. That's the tag. So I'm making this my platform, and I'm building pieces I like on top of it, and that's really what I'm doing. I'm picking out pieces I like, I'm cutting out the part of them I like, and I'm building. But after I put this on here, I thought that's really too not the right length. So I remembered that I had, whoops, these 2 vintage sacks of photos. You know, it's one of these things. So I bought this at an antique show eons ago. So I'm looking for something that's going to be, okay, let's see. So we have that. See, that's going to be the right size, but I don't want the picture. Oh, I love this. I love pictures of Mary. Now that's speaking to me. That is speaking to me. And then this part emulates the filigree that I love so much. So if I completely include this, then I will end. I may not include that title. I will end it where my piece ends. I love that Mary. That's kind of cute. Okay, there it is. So I can go like 5 minutes. Okay. That doesn't really go. I think this goes with Mary holding her hands, I'd say, in prayer. Yeah, I think that's pretty. And the black is appealing. But then another thought I had as I was looking over this was, this is the fabric that I've been talking about. Isn't it spectacular? It's woven, it's not printed. So you could use either side, but I love the red, especially for this. So I was thinking, you know, what if I made a little pocket? It would have to be so tiny. I like that. I like that a lot. It would be the width of the card. I like that. Let's see if the stripes went another way. No, definitely not. It would have to go this way. That's really pretty. You know, maybe if I move this up, then I could get more of a pocket here. Oh, it's such a different look. I don't know. I don't think it's probably, it's going to be shallow, and this is kind of top heavy. This looks more like a pedestal, and a pedestal I think fits with this frame. So let's see what's the height. Yeah. Okay. So that's going to be another page. And then I will show you another one that I've laid some stuff out to look at. So this piece of sari, you know, those trims, boho, daydreams, got it probably 5 years ago. It is Christmassy with the green, and I don't use these trims as often as I have a lot. I need to use them, and I want to. I love this piece of paper, Miss Viola Vintage. Love, 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 and it's red and green. Love the gold color. It's that same, that's another thing that for me is really important in this folio. Rather than the story tying it together, I want the colors. So this is the same yellow warm. The white is warm. This greenish goldy color. It could be right in there, and it wouldn't stand out. It just blends in. I like that. I want to keep that on my mind. So love this background. And so I thought, okay, I can put this right up here, up at the top, and then I can put this down at the bottom. like that. I like that. Or I could move this down. If I put it at the top, it's not very good. If I move it down, then there's less of that border, and I really like the border. But it also could be a belly band. What I'm covering up there isn't so critical. So let me know what you think. Do you like it better as a belly band? That really looks good. Oh, I love this border around it. Just makes the fabric sing. Or do you like it better? How did I have it? At the top, and then like that. Oh, I definitely think it looks better as a belly band. Yeah. Yeah. And then do I put it against that wall? Or do I leave a little bit of that wall showing? Yeah, I do. I leave some wall showing. I put it in the middle. Oh my gosh. I love it. People, this is 1, 2, 3. 3 things. Just love it. Love it. Okay. I think that's it. I've got to go to work. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you got something from it. What I will say about how this relates to overcoming perfectionism. What I did as I went about doing this is I took breaks. One of the things that happens when we become stuck in that trance of perfectionism, and it's important to realize that it is like a trance. You know, you're in a loop, a thought loop, and the trance of unworthiness is what Tara Brach calls it. You may not feel like you're unworthy when you get there. That's fine. You may not be. But a lot of people do strive for perfection because they are feeling that they can't match up. They can't, do a good enough job. So if they just work at it harder and harder, they'll somehow be accepted or somehow get a good grade or somehow, get more likes or whatever the case may be. Or they'll like the piece themselves, which, believe me, being perfectionistic doesn't lead to liking the piece necessarily at all. So if you are starting to work on something for a long period of time, it can be very difficult to see that you're working on it for a long period of time. But that is crucial. It's called noticing. That's an official term in mindfulness. You're noticing, I'm noticing I've been at this one auditioning of this one thing for too long. Right? It's not paying off. You're not really any further along. You might have put the same piece in there several times and nothing's changing. That's too long, and that's a loop. That's a trance. So what you want to do is switch to a different page. Switch to a different piece of ephemera. In other words, move away and then come back to it later. Make a little faux pile like I did where you put the things together that you've been considering. Maybe there's 7 things and you want to use 4, but you put them all together with a paper clip and move it somewhere else and then come back to it later with a fresh mind. It makes a world of difference. I did not think about making that green thing a belly band until I was sitting there looking at it with you and looking at it in the camera and the monitor and realizing that that was an option. So again, getting that distance that I suggested last time will give you more options. And when we're becoming perfectionistic or acting in a perfectionistic way that gets in the way and delays our moving forward as well, we have lost our sense of choice. And so the distance gives us that. All right, so I hope that's helpful. I will continue to share with you this folio and also get a couple of other videos up for design team projects. So hang with me. If you make something, tag me. And thank you so much for stopping by. I really, really appreciate it. Take care, you guys. Have fun creating.